Boo! Sorry for sneaking up on you like that. 'Tis the season, I suppose. But just as I've snuck up on you, the end of season 18 has really snuck up on all of us. It was like 7 weeks this season. The mid-season only happened after 3 weeks total. A bit of a bizarre one, but definitely not a small one in terms of content. Sure, it was short, but they tried to cram a lot of stuff into this season. A lot of it, honestly, not working out as well as I would have hoped. I think this season was a bit of a downer for me. It's not that it was inherently bad. It's not that any of the changes were like detrimental to my experience, but it was just a bit of like everywhere I looked, something was off. The vibes were definitely not there for the whole time for me. And I want to make it clear that this might just be a me thing, right? I think that these might end up being overall positive things I'm about to talk about, but for me specifically, they didn't quite work. They didn't really enhance my experience. They might have gotten a little bit in the way, and that is just, we might just differ there. I'm not going to tell you that it's inherently bad or good. I might be the problem, but I'll go ahead. We'll start with our first thing here. That is going to be hero progression. You may be wondering, why am I starting with hero progression? Why am I not starting with stadium or something, where like the bigger thing of the season? But hero progression getting a bit of an overhaul, I wanted to be a much better thing than it actually ended up becoming. I thought hero progression really was going to encourage people to play heroes that they don't normally play, because the rewards that you get for leveling up certain heroes are pretty enticing. I think you can earn up to like 3 legendary loot boxes, like all the way up through level 40, or maybe it's level 50 or something like that, for every single hero in the roster. And I feel like for most people, that sounds like a crazy good deal, right? I think that's a great deal, and I have a lot of cosmetics. I just think it's great that you've got like concrete rewards, especially, like all these other rewards too. You get like skins or other loot boxes and player cards and whatnot for a healthy long while. And it's all great in theory, but that length, I think that is the problem, because as I've been playing this season, as I've been much more keenly aware of what my hero levels actually are, I've noticed just how painfully slow all of these level up. Like, I've watched them in real time. I play a lot of Hazard. Let's say I played a lot of Hazard this season, and I maybe leveled up on him. I started maybe like level 24 or something. I think I might be like level 27. That was over the course of almost 2 months, where he was like the priority in the majority of the games that I played on tank. Like, it felt like I wasn't really being rewarded. I would level up once every couple of hours, which is really slow, especially for being so low leveled. It does feel like if you're like level 1 or so, which I didn't have any characters at level 1, but you go a lot quicker and then you slow down. But I really just don't find it to be gratifying at all. I'm someone who likes to play a lot of stuff. Like, you're gonna see a variety of footage that I got over the past couple days of a bunch of different characters, some that I play and some that I don't. Please don't judge too harshly. But those characters are just not leveling up. Like, I'm not getting any of the rewards like I thought. Like, I was trying to branch out and play some new heroes. I played a lot of Reaper this season since he was really good, and I still feel like I didn't make any noticeable progress on that character. I think by design, they don't want you to just play a couple and get all the rewards and then go back to what you were gonna do and kind of farm them for all of these loot boxes or whatnot. But at the same time, I am not encouraged to play anything else if I'm a normal person, or like if my idea of like why I'm playing other characters was going to need a little bit of encouragement. I don't really want to do that, because the rewards are just so hard to acquire. It would take tens of hours on every single character to get everything that they have to unlock. And I just don't think that is satisfying at all. I don't think this actually accomplishes what I would hope, is to get people to try other things and to prevent one-tricking, kind of like a backwards way to do it. More of like I'll give you a reward if you stop playing only one hero. I don't think this system has really helped in that department, and that's really disappointing for me, especially as somebody who plays everything. I still feel like I didn't really get much out of this other than them, you know, just giving me all of my coins back, and then I could buy a bunch of skins, so I had better chances to get shop skins out of my loot box pools, which is just kind of whatever, you know, who cares. On the hero progression side, I'm going to use the hero skill ranking, you know, the individual one that you get, as kind of a segue into my general thoughts about competitive and specifically rank distribution. But let's start with the hero skill rankings. Complete failure of a system so far, in my opinion. Not to say that this is inherently a bad thing, but one, I think a lot of times people are going to see an individual rank. I've already seen this with Looking for Scrims. I just joined actually an alumni team from my college, but people on Looking for Scrim will be like, hey, our average is this, but we have maximum hero rankings of this, this, and this. I know for a fact that these rankings don't matter. I have a friend who peaked low GM this season on support, and the game tells him he has a gold Kiriko because he must have lost the games that he played on that character while it was making his SR. Do we all legitimately think that this guy, a GM player who is barely losing games on Kiriko, is like swapping to her? Do any of us actually think this guy is gold? Does that make any sense whatsoever? No, right? And like that is kind of the problem, because again, Hero SR also works on winning or losing. So if I am, and we'll use my account as an example, I'm GM3, right? And I think on support, and like my Wuyang is like Masters, and I put my Kiriko in like GM and all of that, right? But like, let's say I tried to play Zenyatta and it put me at like 2,500. Well, now I'm in GM3. I'm like at a proper rank. Maybe I'll lose a bit more because I feel like I'm a little high, but you know, I'm at my proper rank. And if I want to improve my Zenyatta SR, I have to keep winning a bunch in GM lobbies, some of them becoming champ lobbies, which are some of the hardest games I've played in my entire life. And if I lose, the game is like, yeah, you're still a platinum Zenyatta. It's like, no. And if you win one, then it barely adds like a relevant amount of SR. I do think it adds more than you lose, but it's still like such a grind and a climb that it just doesn't really make any sense. So I feel like either way, up or down, right? Like I have my Hazard, who has been in like champion SR, like hero SR, which is just not correct. Let me be completely honest with you guys. But it says my Hazard is floating around 4,500 SR. What does this mean, man? This does not mean anything. If you wanted to rank Hazard, right? If there was like a leaderboard, like this is where you are on Hazard, that would make a little bit more sense in my opinion. But again, it goes back to that thing like, my friend is not a gold Kiriko. Why is the game telling him that he is in gold? It makes no sense. It's so wild. It barely accounts for your rank. It's harder to rank up your heroes when you're higher rank, and it's harder to rank down your heroes if you're lower rank, I guess. But if you're at the right skill ranking, your hero SR is barely going to change, and it just doesn't make any sense. It has such a crazy bias on those first couple of games, and it is just not a system that has rolled out in any meaningful way, in my opinion. So on that note, talking about SR being all over the place, Season 18 brought along with it more of a flattening of the curve towards the higher end for here, or just regular SR skill ranking distribution. So a lot of lower accounts, like, you know, around the Masters, the Diamond area, are getting pushed up higher into GM, into Masters, maybe even into Champ if you're like higher up, right? This has happened to me. I got a peak of GM5 on tank, and I am currently, I think, GM3 or 4 on support. Now, has my skill changed? No. I have played a little bit. I have definitely played in some harder lobbies because I've gotten swept away into GM lobbies, or champ lobbies rather, with professional Overwatch players. But has my skill changed? No, it hasn't. There's just more people in the higher ranks. And, you know, sure, maybe it was too hard to get into Masters. Okay, whatever. But as somebody who was in Masters and was kind of flirting with the idea of maybe getting into GM if I pushed hard enough, this is such a letdown to just be like, oh well, I was fighting with it for so long and then I just placed into GM. Do you see like how anticlimactic that is? This is exactly what happened in like season, I think it was season 3 or 4, when your MMR like became the precedent instead of your SR. I was M4 on support, and then I woke up the next day and I was GM4 on support, and I said, yay, I hit GM for the first time. By doing what exactly? That's how this feels. This feels really bad for me. This was not a fun experience. Now, I think a lot of people are going to see this and go like, but I've reached my peak. This is awesome. This feels good. If it feels good for you, I'm so glad. This feels like dog shit to me. This feels awful. I can't believe that they allowed this to ship. I mean, I actually do believe it, but as somebody who's been working really hard to try and like consistently get my rank better and better, and it's only slowly improved over time, this is kind of like a kick in the balls for all that progress that I've made, because it really undercuts the work that I have been doing, and it makes me not feel as good. And now that there's more people surrounding the rank that I'm at, it also makes me feel like maybe I've decreased in my skill level because there's more people around me. I don't know. I'm kind of going off the rails here, but I do want to say again, like if you're having fun, if this rank system it makes you feel like you're at where you're supposed to be, I'm not going to take that away from you. I'm glad. I do think that it was a little harder to get into Masters. I mean, like Masters being top 3% does seem a little ridiculous, to be honest with you, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm really disappointed. Like I've been not having a great time, and even playing the games, I can feel that there are definitely some people who aren't ready to be in some of these lobbies, because there's just more people getting like swept into higher lobbies, right? I'm a perfect example. I'm not at fault here, right? I've been pulled into champ lobbies. I played with this Winston player who was literally the best player I've ever played with in my entire life, and I felt like I was letting them down. You know, like I'm like, this guy can survive literally anything. He knows exactly where to put himself at all times. And here I am just like walking out in the open, like doing nothing, doing air, and like barely losing us these games because my Suzu is like just mistimed, you know? I know what it feels like to be that person who's not properly in the lobby, and it sucks when you're higher up and you have someone on your team, but it also sucks when you're a little lower and you've got this crazy expectation to work at a level you're not comfortable at because of this big gap, right? If there's not this weird like inflation and then like throwing you into games you shouldn't be in, you know, sometimes you're going to get into games that are going to feel hard and they're going to feel like you're not supposed to be there, but you can still kind of work it out. But especially now that there was the inflation on top of that, it feels like there are a lot of factors working into making a lot of games feel worse. And I think games have definitely felt a lot worse and a lot more volatile this season because of this specifically. I feel like I have definitely run into people, a lot of newer accounts, but a lot of older accounts who should not be at the rank that I'm at, whether that's higher or lower. Regardless of which one it is, it feels bad. I don't know how you fix this, right? Like maybe it will work itself out in time, but it has really bugged me this season. I've really wanted to play a lot of ranked, and I'll go in and like, we're just not on the same page. And it hasn't felt like this for the past couple of seasons. Ranked has felt really good the past couple of seasons. This season has definitely felt in decline. It's a personal anecdote, right? It's personal. I'm not going to say everyone has felt this way, but personally, I have. And I think it sucks. I've played a lot still, or a decent amount when I can, and I still feel it, right? I can still feel that something is amiss. And I'm not going to keep going on this. I would be here forever, but let it be known that it has not been working for me overall. there was a perk refresh. Everyone got new perks, right? At least one. A lot of characters got multiple. Some of them, I don't know if anyone got 4, like all new ones, but they got a lot of shuffling and stuff like that. How are we feeling on perks? How am I feeling on perks? I'm definitely becoming a little more disillusioned. Now, I was never like a huge fan of them to begin with. I thought they were implemented in a pretty decent way. And I was not like excited when they announced them, but I was like, okay, you know what? I can live with this. I think how they've done it is okay. I'm not too terribly upset, right? But I think this refresh has really opened my eyes about how they haven't really figured out how to get perks right yet, and we are already like on the clock with when they're going to be like redone. And that is where I think we need to slow down and take a step back. There are a lot of perks this season that are pissing me off. So many perks that are way too strong or just kind of provide free value that aren't interesting. And they kind of like break down why some of these characters are cool and they make them too powerful. You know, I talked about in my Wuyang video, I talked about Kiri and I talked about Reaper and all of those. But so many characters have something that's like, why? Why would you give them that? You know, why would you give Diva a button where she can just shoot faster for an extended period of time? Like, what is the point of that? You know, and especially like with those survivability buttons where you just kind of like, okay, now I'm going to be able to survive longer. And those are the ones that feel really, really bad. You know, like the ones that are more active, you have to make like choices, you have to give something up. I'm not really, you know, as upset about. You know, like Cass's silver bullet has been a little annoying, but he can't fan the hammer. And I think that's actually like a really good thing to know if you're going to go into a cast, because he's going to have like worse shield break pressure. He's going to have just worse damage pressure overall at close range. So you can work around that. And like that is totally fine for me, in my opinion. But like, just these abilities are like, yeah, you know, like Kirisuzu, I don't want to talk about it again, right? But like, that's just make your defensive cooldown better, have it up more often. You know, Reaper TP, his defensive cooldown is better. You don't really do anything different with it per se. You just get out of situations you shouldn't be able to live normally. That feels bad to me. Even if the Reaper TP has a negative repercussion, I don't even care. It doesn't matter. What you get, the benefit you get is so far outweighed by the negative. It's crazy. I've been toying around with the idea of doing like a perk video, just talking about like the system in general, like what works about it and what doesn't. I have a lot of videos on the back burner that I'm trying to figure out like what I want to do first. I don't know if that one will quite make its way out soon, if it ever makes it out. But yeah, that's like something I've really wanted to tackle, because I think the perk system, for as limited as it is, I'm starting to feel the effects of like all the minutia of it, about like who gets perks first, which perks they get, you know, what they're like allowed to have, you know, like strong characters having even stronger perks. Like, why are they allowed to have that? But if they aren't allowed to have that, then their perks feel worthless. Yada, 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 whatever. That's unfiltered, unthought out thoughts, I suppose. Needless to say, perks this season, I'm starting to see some of the cracks that I kind of anticipated, but was kind of putting off as just like, oh, you know, Overwatch is back, oh, it's fun, it's fine. They're starting to show a little bit more, and I'm not as keen on perks as I once was. I still think it's a good system. I still think it's been an overall benefit for the whole game, but there are definitely some perks that are like, come on, man, what are we doing? Like, we should be focusing on refinement rather than just always refreshing. Like, every 6 months, always having a refresh is a bad idea for characters that have like good perk sets or have really good perks, right? I don't know, you know, I think the third one will really tell us where their head's gonna be at. Are they trying to really refine what the perks do, or is it really more for the new shock value? And it really could be either one of those. I really hope it's the former, but something gives me a feeling that's probably going to be the latter. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Hey guys, I am going to talk about this once. Stadium. I didn't play it at all. I played one match, I think. I got to play Payload Race. I thought that was a very interesting game mode, but I won't give you my full thoughts on it because, again, I played it once. Guys, I can't get myself to play Stadium. I don't like this mode. I thought the snake draft was a cool idea, so you didn't have any mirrors, and then they got rid of it. I think it's fine with mirrors. I think just being able to see what they pick and choosing off of it, that is not a bad idea in any capacity, making sure that one team doesn't get the super powerful characters. You all are also able to pick it if in case like, oh, they have a, I don't know who's powerful in Stadium. They have a Freya, so I'll make sure I pick Freya or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like, this game mode just isn't for me. A lot of the content per season is starting to become more and more about Stadium. This season in particular was a lot about Stadium. I didn't even try to play Tracer. It's just not what I'm looking for. Not my experience of Overwatch. I will admit, I think the active items are really interesting, and I'm curious to see how those play out next season. Maybe I'll play a little more, but that's what I said last time. Yeah, like, not much to say here, right? If you're having fun with Stadium, great, good for you. It's just not for me, and I'm not going to go in there and play it and like be miserable and then come be miserable about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's productive. I've talked about a Stadium critique in the past, looking a lot more likely that probably just won't happen because I just really don't want to play it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And it's probably better I focus on things that I find I'm like more in on and I care about more rather than just saying like, I don't like Stadium. Like, you know, like, what is the point of that? That's it. That's all. Like, that's Stadium. And I'll very only ever briefly mention Stadium in all of these videos, but just know that this is just not my area, and I have nothing real to say. Okay, Wuyang, demon character time. Guys, he is still really good, although I have a feeling, and I've been saying it right, that I think Kiri, Lucio are just, like, way better. They work with this meta a lot more. I think Wuyang is good, but he's a really good ladder character. And that's what I want to stress here, right? Like, if you saw the Wuyang video, and I do encourage you to watch that, because I talk a lot about, like, why he's good, why he's kind of a problem. But really, he is a ladder character. He is really good on ladder, and he is decent in professional play. Obviously, they have played him, but he's just so good on ladder because he's self-survivable. He can play by himself. He can do a lot of damage. It's hard to get to him. It's hard to deal with him as like an uncoordinated group, and like that's why he's so good, on top of all the other, like, you know, numbers stuff and whatever. But like, that's why his win rate is so high. And it is really hard, like the win rates, you know, and the new like data that we have. And I'll talk about the data now that, you know, because I think it's kind of relevant here. That does not tell the whole story, right? Like, yes, Wuyang has like the highest win rate, but at the same time, guess who has the lowest win rate? It's Freya. Freya is not a bad character. Is she the best character in the game? I'm not going to say that, but she is really good. She still has the ability to two-tap you. She is good. She is really good in the right hands. She has a definite place in this meta, and the win rates will tell you that she doesn't. As the same time as the win rates are saying that Wuyang is far and above the best character in the game. It does not tell the whole story. Kiri Lucio is like permanently picked in OWCS, and Kiri has a negative win rate. Why is that? There's plenty of things. Characters are harder to use on ladder, etc., 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 whatever, right? But the data that we get, I really hope, and it kind of already has started to happen, because I saw on Twitter, people were saying like, you know, Freya, worst character in the game. There are extenuating circumstances, right? The data is not telling everything. You know, you're looking at all ranks, which is one thing, but the environment of ranked is different. If you're playing with friends and you're playing like a Freya or somebody who's lower, you might find more success because they're better. You know, Hog has a really bad win rate, but he's a really good counter to like ball comps, and he's a really good bully. Like, he is not bad right now. His win rate would tell you otherwise because he's very exploitable and everybody knows those exploits. But if you are a good Hog player, you know, you hit all your hooks and you kind of understand how to play around your counters better. This guy is undying, and he counters a lot of really good stuff in the game right now. Don't get caught up on win rates. You know, Reinhardt has a super high win rate. That character is, honestly, he's not the worst he's ever been, but he's definitely not amazing. It's just whatever. The win rates are going to tell one story. Wuyang, perfect example. But the actuality of it is probably going to be another thing. Are they completely worthless? I don't think so. But don't don't find the character's total strength only through the win rates. Does that make sense? There are a lot more factors that go into why a character is good or isn't. That does not include bronze and silver players in the calculations. And no offense to bronze and silver, you know, like we're lower ranks, but it is a bit of a different ball game down there. And I think we all can agree on that. You know, it is definitely not the same game as on the higher end. Things move differently. Trust me, I've been there. I know. I coach teams and players of the skill level down there. It is different. All right, let's talk about general balance, guys. Balance this season was a little whack. I think this season we all can agree. The mid-season patch was not great. Buffed a lot of characters that are annoying. Made them better, while a lot of the fun, high skill expression characters got nerfed. Whether a little bit or a lot. It's always disappointing, right? It's always disappointing to have like a bad balance patch. Especially because I don't think it was in a great spot to begin with. But after the mid-season, I feel like things have really just been bad. You know, we've got Reaper and we've got Roadhog. You know, Wrecking Ball is an unkillable demon right now. Kiri's the best character in the game because of her Suzu. Zarya is really, really good. Like, there's just like a lot of characters that have kind of come out of the woodwork and are starting to become actual threats because of their perks or just because they've kind of been laying low for a while. And like the armor change really did matter. Ramatra was poo-poo dog water, and now he's kind of finding his place in OWCS. But if you pick him in my game, I am going to yell at you because he is not very good unless you know exactly what you're doing. You know, it's kind of how a lot of teams still like to run Mauga, just because he's very team-focused and they know what to do around him. And if you do it right, you can win. But if you are playing a Ramatra in my game, I'm getting in VC and I'm saying, please change to something that is going to do anything. I don't know. The meta this season, I have just been like, I need a Kiri. Like, it's one of those that it's like, I really wish people in my games were playing Kiri because she is so good and nobody is like trying to play her. I've got a lot of Wuyangs, which is totally fine with me, but there are a lot of characters, especially in the support cast, that are like really bad right now. Like, there's a really bad disparity between the characters that are really good in support, like Kiri, Lucio, Wuyang. You got a little bit of like a high mid tier going on with like your Bap, Ana, you know, those kind of characters, kind of Moira, to be fair. And then you have like a bunch of characters like Lifeweaver, Mercy, Juno, Ilyari, all of them like at the bottom of like the bottom feeders of like terrible characters that I do not want to see on my team at all. There's way too many of them, you know. A lot of the other roles I think are in a decent spot. Some of the historically bad characters, you know, Bastion kind of has a place right now, depending on like the tank, but support just has so many of them just like in a really bad spot, and I don't know how that happened. And it just feels really frustrating when you're playing, you know, against a team that has like the better support roster, and you're like, we are already at a disadvantage because we're playing, you know, much weaker characters. That is always going to be a problem, but I feel like I've felt it a lot this season, and I don't really know how that happened, how so many of them are in such an unplayably bad state. I really hope that we get a couple of like either definitely some nerfs to the higher supports, but a couple of compensation buffs to allow the other supports to keep up. Listen, there are supports and characters in this game I don't like, and I don't want them to be very strong. However, I can't pick for my other players in my team, so I need their characters to be playable in case they pick them, right? They don't have to be the best character in the game, but I'd much rather have a competent character rather than just a completely bullshit, dog shit one, you know? Listen, the balance is whatever. I think hero bans definitely help, but I think the majority of the problem is kind of in the ranks, you know, in the general rank inflation. So I'm not going to harp on the balance so much right now. I'll probably be a lot meaner next season when I'm like, okay, have we changed anything? Are we actually getting anywhere? Hopefully we do. But other than that, right, like, I think we all can agree that the balance was a little out of whack this season primarily because of the mid-season, but also the super big armor shakeup at the beginning with the perks as well. Okay, Joker Persona 5 hit Overwatch collab time. Guys, I'm talking the collab. What do I think of the collab? Guys, I don't give a flying fuck. I don't care. I don't know Persona. I've never played it. I tried, but, you know, realizing it was like 100+ hour RPG, I said, I can't sit through a narrative for that long and be engrossed in it, because that's like literally weeks of my life. And it's not structured like I'm supposed to watch a little bit of it at a time. Listen, if you like Persona 5, great for you. Good, awesome, amazing. Me, really don't care. Probably never gonna play it, although I know I should try it at least, but it's really a commitment that I just don't think I can put my foot down and do. How are the skin quality? I think the Joker one looks a little silly. I don't know why. I don't know. His mask doesn't look correct. For the rest of them, I know a lot of people are like, why'd they pick this character over this character? And like, we all know the answer. You just get the popular ones. They just made some really strange choices, like, why is Diva not Futaba? I think that's her name. Why is Genji the blonde one, not like Junkrat, who seems like he probably would fit that better? Listen, guys, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not gonna be like a hater or anything. Like, it's fine. It's whatever. They look nice enough, like the skins. I actually do think the Mercy one is pretty interesting with like with her wings and everything. So if you like Persona 5, I hope you're happy. I know there are definitely some things that they could have improved, but they look fine. And it's definitely a good collab to have. It's definitely made them a lot of money. I've seen those skins everywhere. So whatever, sure, okay, cool. My final thing that I have here is the anniversary event, which was definitely a lot more involved than it was last year. I remember I made a video that was one of my most viewed videos for a while about how underwhelming and boring the anniversary event last year was. They barely even talked about it. It wasn't even on the homepage, and it was just kind of like nothing. And I was like, why are you like, you're not like celebrating your game very much. Here, they actually are giving away a bunch of loot boxes. They have a lot of different like events coming in. There was a clear schedule. They put it on the homepage. They actually had like an anniversary thing. So they actually cared this time. Was it enough? I don't know. Like, you can say like, oh, I wish there was more, whatever. But like, I feel like they actually put in a little bit of an effort to make you go like, hey, it is the anniversary, and it got you to care because there were like proper rewards that you would want to do by interacting with them. The events that they had were kind of like, I didn't even think about it, but like, yeah, of course, the Overwatch Classic events were all going to come back. And guess what? They all sucked so far. I think the 2020 patch is live right now. I'm much more excited to play that than any of the others. But those were a chore to get back through to get my loot boxes, but I did. I trucked through, I did it. Now it's Junkenstein's in October 2020, I'm pretty sure, which is going to be a lot more engaging and fun to play through. But yeah, the anniversary it was much better this year, and I hope that they keep it up. Maybe do a little extra something next year, but we don't really, actually, you know what? Sorry. They should do an anniversary in May because it's going to be 10 years. That is an incredibly big milestone. I hope they don't wait until October to do that because it just wouldn't make any sense. We'll see how that goes, but the anniversary this year was a lot better. That was like the big event that we had for this season. I'm not really disappointed with it. I think it was perfectly serviceable and a much big improvement from last year. Okay, that was it. I'm trying not to be as long as I was last season. I talked for like 40 minutes edited last season. Not as much to say this season, just a lot about talking about the system stuff that they changed. And that's kind of the bulk of the video. It feels like this was like a big season and there were a lot of changes, but the majority of my focus was really on the competitive experience. And that was just not there for me. If it was there for you, again, like I'm going to keep reiterating, I'm glad you had fun. I also had fun. I have fun playing Overwatch, but it was definitely not as great as I was hoping. And that's just the nature of the beast, right? Sometimes it's going to happen where they're not going to get everything right immediately. I hope that they continue to tweak the progression and the hero skill because the numbers are definitely not tuned properly. And I really hope that as time goes on, people kind of like get into the right skill ranking that they're supposed to be so that games start being a little smoother, and I don't have to get my ass handed to me by Rack Attack, who, guess what, I didn't see once that game because I couldn't get through the choke ever on my Midtown game against him, which is insane. So that's what I have to say. I'm not going to keep you here very long. Thank you. I'm working on other stuff. I'll keep you updated. Watch the outro for something about that. But that's it. Bye-bye. If your Overwatch build is done, bye-bye. Thank you. Good night. Viva la... What the fuck am I saying? Goodbye. If you're still here, what I was talking about is that I am actually done with my first script for the second channel video. And I am filming it tomorrow, as of the time I'm filming this video. So it will be in full production and getting worked on in the coming week or two, and it should be out, and I'm saying this publicly, by the end of the month. That is Lane's Domain on YouTube. Just go ahead and type in youtube.com/Lane's Domain. There's no search precedent because there's no videos on it. If you want to see that video, finally, I'm really excited to get working on it. That is coming out at the end of this month. Please check that out. If you do nothing else, like, subscribe. You can join my Discord if you want updates on everything I do here and there. That really helps me as well. And yeah, I'm working on Overwatch videos. I'm really trying to get something out for you before the end of next season because I've got a lot of things swirling around of like what I want to do. And I'm trying to pinpoint one to work on while I'm working on this other video so that you guys can get something juicy for this next coming month. You'll have to wait and see. Don't even know what's going to be yet. That's all. That's all I have for this outro. Please do all that YouTube stuff again. Okay, that's it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.